Of Charlene in front of me and Marius, okay? We BC. Before
Mara.
computers, before calculators, before cell phones.
Yeah.
And we're still around doing our thing.
Fantastic.
But Marius, just so that you know, Marius is the best Googler in our office. All right. I can't find something, give her 2 ticks and she has it in front of her. And I still ask her, how do you do that? Because I learned with library books. Hey, Marius.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys.
Library books didn't teach you how to
books.
Google.
Welcome,
You know-
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome, South Africa. It's Women's Day today, and it's the 9th of August. So welcome, everyone, and a happy Women's Day to all the women out there. So I am introducing you to TEARS Foundation today and AVBOB South Africa. Representing TEARS Foundation, we have Mara and we have Charlene. And from AVBOB, we have actually Marius that's on the line. So guys, I'm going to hand it over to you. The topic today is about the campaign that you guys are launching today, which is Gender-Based Violence 365. And we're going to delve into that topic. So before we get into that, I would just want to say welcome to you guys. Thank you so much for collaborating with Open Mic Foundation. I truly appreciate it. And I'm going to hand it over to Mara first. So Mara, just introduce yourself and welcome.
Hello, thank you for that. And hello to my colleagues. What a lovely privilege to be here on Women's Day, because really, although we are an organization that supports women who've been raped and abused, we support them in the way that they find hope and healing, because we know every person on this earth has a purpose. So I'm going to turn you over to Charlene, who will tell you what we do.
Hi everyone, so I'm Charlene Roberson. I am the Chief Operating Officer within our organization, and I deal with all of the operations. We have quite a few different platforms, which I'm sure we'll touch base on a little bit later in the conversation. But as Mara said, our passion is really to help people with rape, with abuse, anything related to gender-based violence.
Fantastic. Thanks, Charlene. Over to you, Marius.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and happy Women's Day once again. I'm the communication manager for AVBOB. And yeah, as you've heard, we've just launched our gender-based violence campaign with the TEARS Foundation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And what a privilege to have everyone online today and just talk about this fantastic campaign that's launching, and what a, topic to actually talk on Women's Day. And that's what makes it even more, fantastic and heartwarming and so warming to have this type of conversation on this fantastic day, right? So I'm gonna start. Mara, I'm gonna start with TEARS Foundation. And we're gonna let's start off with the first thing, and it's about, what does TEARS Foundation do to support victims of gender-based violence in South Africa?
Charlene.
All right, so Sheshni, I hope you don't mind, but I'll answer that question.
Fine. No, that's okay.
So at TEARS Foundation, what we do is we've got a telephone number that people can dial, 010-590-5920. So that's our office line. And what we do is we really walk a path with people. We try to find them the assistance they need in the language they need it in and close to where they live. I can't send someone that stays in Katlehong to somewhere in Pretoria. I need to be able to send them to a place that's in their close vicinity, a counselor that they can seek often, We find people to assist you to go and get a protection order. If you don't have the confidence to go to the police, we'll ask someone to go with you. So we really, as an organization, we don't always get it right, but we really try our utmost best to help you as much as possible. Because I understand the victims, the moment that you have been abused and violated, you lose all your confidence. No one's going to believe me. And our motto in our office is, we believe you, we want to help you. And because of that, we really go the extra mile for people. We also try to find them legal assistance if and when necessary. Again, there's not a lot of lawyers that's willing to assist on a pro bono, so on a free basis. But we really try to find those lawyers and try to connect with them and partner with them to help these women who have been abused, who has been violated, to really just walk the path with them. It's not a case of, I'm going to find you a counseling facility and hand you over. I'm walking that path with you. I'm constantly going to phone you and find out, how are you doing? Are you okay? Is there something else that we can do? So we can maybe take a woman from having an exit strategy to safely get out, to helping them to open a case at the police, to getting a protection order, and then helping them to find a counseling facility that's really going to assist them. You know, so that's the kind of services. So we're trying to look at the victim-based and see a victim-centered solution. So really look at all of the different needs that that person might have, and then help them go forward and bringing hope and healing.
Sure, that's fantastic. You know, I haven't heard of any organization in South Africa that actually walks the path with the victim. And that's fantastic. I mean, I've never heard that. And I'm a sole cheerleader for gender-based violence. And if I know someone's going to do good by helping a victim to overcome it, by all means. And I do believe that this needs to be echoed out there. It seems like it does provide a safe space for also a victim to come forward, you know, and for you to walk that path and take them through those processes. And let's be honest, right? Some of those processes is quite tedious in the country.
Yeah, and it's very invading as well. So especially if you have to go for a rape kit, it's horrifying. It's demeaning. It's, you know, you've just been violated. Now you feel like you're being violated again. So our nurses in our countries is trained, and we really try to do our best to help people to understand what is going on, what needs to happen before they go. So we prepare them mentally for what they need to be doing.
Okay, something just came up. Do you guys have volunteers? Do you promote people to come and volunteer at the foundation to help you to walk to this path, or?
No, absolutely. So the problem that we have currently is COVID. So regulations tells us we're not allowed to have too many people in our office, but most often we take honors and master students in psychology, where they would then work their volunteer hours at our office, or if they're in a different province, we find them organizations where they can go and volunteer their hours. We also take volunteers in that would do database typing, so people that would update databases, so the more administrative side of things. But we don't allow just anyone to assist with the victim, because we understand the sensitivity behind it.
Okay, I hear you. Absolutely fantastic. Marius, this is for you. Why has AVBOB taken a stance against gender-based violence? What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, Shizni, I think there are a number of reasons, but one of the reasons obviously is that, you know, we all know that the whole issue of gender-based violence is one of the most pressing issues we're facing in South Africa today. And at AVBOB, you know, we regard all our stakeholders as being part of the family, part of the AVBOB family. And to us, family comes first, always, you know. So obviously, you know, lately especially, we've been becoming aware and more aware of gender-based violence, and obviously the effect it has on society in general. And therefore, we decided that, you know, it's time for us to also stand up and do something to show, you know, that it's not on. It's something that we cannot tolerate in society. And as a responsible corporate citizen, we just felt, well, it's time for us to do something properly, something that we can show, well, we are against gender-based violence, and, you know, just collaborate with other organizations that's, especially of late, been doing the same thing, you know. So it's very important for us. And like I say, all of those ladies out there that are potentially victims of the perpetrators, you know, we need to do something to protect them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Fantastic. I hear you. It's nice that, you know, the big corporates like yourself is coming to and helping organizations like TEARS foundations, so that we know that we stand together, right? And that we're not alone against that same fight against us. And, you know, having big organizations and corporates behind, you know, people like TEARS Foundation right now, it sends a message of let's work together, let's stand together, and let's move forward. And how do we help the people and the victims, and how do we fight against this? Because we all do need to take a stance against this some point or another. So absolutely, thank you so much for that, Marius. Mara, hey Mara, so to you, what influenced TEARS Foundation being established? What was the influence behind that?
Well, I'm a survivor of abuse, and it was so bad that I nearly lost my life. I physically fought for my life. I was waterboarded, and I was extremely traumatized, even to the fact that I was scared to drive, and I'm quite confident. I couldn't park, I couldn't drive. And I had run away from Johannesburg to live down at the coast. I thought it would be nice to sort of semi-retire, and so I bought a house down the coast to be near my dad. And unfortunately, I had no longer been there for a few weeks, and I found my dad murdered in his house. So I was doubly traumatized, and I decided that I would go overseas and stay with a friend in the UK for a while. She invited me to work in her company, and I knew the organization very well, so I was excited. And I was flying out via Cape Town, and I looked at myself and said, I've sort of been housebound for 5 months. I really feel worthless. Let me at least put on a good face and learn to do my makeup. So I went into one of the makeup shops there and said, could you please just teach me all the modern things? And so she laid out in front of me a sketch and took out all her brushes, a very beautiful young lady. And as I sat down, she said, well, if I put brown here, you take this pencil and you say you'll remember when you go away. And then as I was sitting there, she said, I'm sorry, I can't help you anymore. She said, you're crying too much. And so there was this beautiful young stranger in a state, because she couldn't teach me how to do my makeup. And she said, well, what is the problem? And I said, I'm so ugly. No one will ever love me again. How will I ever pick up the pieces of my life? So I left the shop sobbing, and I realized that the only way that as a survivor of any kind of personal violence, physical, emotional, whatever, is that you have to take charge of your own life. You have to take charge of your own life. You have to take responsibility from, not for what the person's bad behavior was, but what do you do from here? So I really made a concerted effort to pull myself back to, you never pull yourself together, and you never put the pieces back together as they were, because they can't possibly ever be the same. But I made a concerted effort to understand where I'd be going in my future and have a purpose. So one of the things that I had to do was go about making a decision to like myself a lot. So, so when I give my talks, I start off with the crown, because I think I'm the luckiest woman alive. I think to have the privilege of doing what I do, of helping people every day and saving lives and making a difference, wow, that's a God-given job, and I don't think anybody could be as lucky as me. So I don't look back on what happened. I use it as a stepping stone to go forward. So TEARS is based on my experience in the police station and my experience of hating myself and hating what was said about me and to me, and trying to change that. So what we do now is we try to help people, which is how Charlene explained it to you.
Wow. You look beautiful with that crown on. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
And you are beautiful. Tell me, is that where the name TEARS Foundation came from?
No, actually, I wanted a name that represented how you feel. So yes, I
Okay.
did cry, and it was of tears, but I also think that we need to understand that tears bring healing. That's why it's called hope and healing, because we cry from joy and pain. So so it was birthed in my pain, but it's also representing joy. And so for me, the journey didn't end then. It began when I started Tears. And that's very important for women who are in an abusive situation to know that around the corner is a new beginning, a new you. With those broken pieces, you can put your crown on and live a great life. I really love my life. How few people do you know that can actually say that and mean it? And you can see from them that it's the truth. And that's a very important message, because sometimes we think there's no hope, and there is hope.
Wow, Mara, fantastic. You know, guys, I just want to say something to everyone that's online. I've actually invited Mara to come as an individual to come and share her story on gender-based violence next week, Sunday. And she's going to take the stand again, and she's going to come through and she's going to share with us her personal story with us. So please join us next week with Mara on. Mara, that's very touching, I must say. I can definitely relate to it. And thank you for that share. Really, really touching for sure. Marius, from your side, I mean, AVBOB, you know, you guys have a gender-based violence campaign. You know, you have this banner called, you know, 365 plus. What does that mean?
Shizni, I think to us it's obviously symbolic, but it's a reminder to us that this is not just a campaign that has been introduced and, you know, after a year, we're all going to say back and say, that was a successful campaign and it's behind us now and it's on to the next campaign. The 365 plus to us really symbolizes that this is an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing social ill, and we have to do what we can for as long as it takes to obviously put an end to this. You know, as an organization on our own, we're not going to put a stop to it. I mean, let's be honest. But if we as an organization don't do something to try and assist the women and the children out there, you know, and most other organizations do the same, nobody's going to take responsibility for it. So yeah, like I said, to us, it's just it's a reminder that this is an ongoing thing. It's not a once-off campaign. It's something that's going to go beyond the duration of one single year. And who knows, you know, it's probably something that we're going to keep investing in. And it's very important to us to make a difference in the lives of all the women out there.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, sometimes I truly believe, yes, the statistics show that it's mostly women that is going through gender-based violence as well. Majority of it is women. I do believe that there's men out there as well. And the men do not come forward and share, you know, their stories. I hope I find someone one day, hopefully, to bring to open mic for that person, for him to come forward and share his story. You know, I welcome anybody that has a personal story. And sometimes we do need to hear from a male to hear what they've been through as well, because there are cases out there. I mean, Mara, Charlene, I'm not sure if any of your victims are male, and if you have, you know, you shaking, yeah. It's you know, we portray this image that it's only women, but yes, it's a majority of the women in South Africa are faced, around the world for that matter, right? But if I think about it, there's a lot of males out there that also go through that as well. And for me, it will be a privilege to find someone that would come on and to share their story with us, to see what it was like, you know, as a male, and what it was like them going through something like this. Fantastic. Natasha is she's just pulling all the stops on social media right now. Natasha, thank you so much for joining. Natasha is saying Marius is a key driver of the GBV in AVBOB. Exceptionally proud to have men stand up against GBV. Totally agree. Totally agree with that. Lots of comments coming through. A comment for Mara. Natasha says, turning a devastating tragedy into an organization to help abused women is taking back your confidence. And I truly agree with her. Natasha, you're spot on that. Very true on that. Men need to speak up. There are men that are abused, that are taught never to show vulnerability. No more. Agree. Totally agree. Let's go back to tears. I think what we can you describe the USSD powered service, help at your fingertips, if I can put that into a inverted commas? How does that work, Charlene? Maybe you can take us through that process of help at your fingertips. How does that go about?
So let me start in a more historical way first.
Okay.
Because everyone told Mara that it can't be done. And if there's something that I've learned from Mara is can't and no is not in her vocabulary. So the more people that told her it can't be done, the more she said it's going to get done. So she started TEARS in 2012. January, it was registered that year in November. And she started researching a database and finding organizations that specifically deals with rape and sexual abuse. And long story short, the USSD was launched on Women's Month in 2013. Wow. So we've had a lot of amazing things take place during Women's Month almost every single year since the beginning of TEARS Foundation, which we were very excited. We started with a 120 number, which means that every time every time you sent an SMS, it would take 20 cents off your phone. And Mara said, no, this can't be done. There must be a way we can get it completely free to the person using this number. And we started, and it was such a long journey. But August 2014, again, August, we launched the 134. So right now the number is *134 *7355#. And you will dial this number and you will follow the prompts. All right, you will dial 1. And at the end of following all the prompts, it will send you an SMS after it's located your mobile phone to the nearest cell phone tower, and it will give you the 3 nearest service providers in your area. All right. If you dial 2, there's a few options. 2 is for emergency. So it will ask you, are you in a life-threatening emergency? If you say, yes, I am, a call center will phone you back immediately to find out what is your emergency and how they can assist you. All right. If you can't speak at that moment, you say, no, I'm not, but I would like for someone to phone me back within 24 hours. Then what happens? We get 2 reports every day. We get a 7 o'clock report and we get a 2 o'clock report. When we get a 2 o'clock report or the 7 o'clock report, we phone them within that time span. So from 7 o'clock until 12 o'clock, and then from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock, we phone again. All right, to make sure that those people that has used our number gets the assistance they need. So it's very simple, it's very easy, and the biggest thing of all, it's free to the end user.
Ah, okay. I see.
And this is where our relationship with AVBOB is coming in as well, is because they are picking up the bill for that service.
Okay, 100%. Thank you so much for that. So Marius, over to you. Personally, as an individual yourself, not as AVBOB, not as a group, communications manager, you, Maurice Duplessis self, okay, what motivates you, in the sense of to counter the GBV itself, you as a person? I mean, you're a male, you're sitting here, and obviously you representing AVBOB, but I want to hear from a personal stance. How do you stand against, from a GBV perspective? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, Shezney, we all have women, ladies in our lives whom we love and cherish. I mean, personally, I have two beautiful daughters, and I have a team who consists mainly of ladies, and I absolutely adore them. I can tell you that. And, from a very young age, I was taught that you have to respect women and children and elderly people.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's just the way it is. That to me is one of the most basic and fundamental values that every man in every society, no matter where you are in the world, should have and live by. And, gender-based violence in general, to me, is just something that shouldn't happen. And I cannot understand, I cannot comprehend that men can be so cowardless or such cowards, to perpetrate violence against women and children. So, personally for me, it angers me, it disgusts me, and that is just something that I think should be eradicated from society in totality. So that is my personal view, and I think these cowards should be dealt with decisively. And I think that is one of the things that drives me to support any sort of action against gender-based violence.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for that personal view from your side, Maurice, because it's one thing we come together from an organizational perspective. It's also good to hear you as a person, how do you feel towards certain things as well, and to get a personal viewpoint from you. I truly do appreciate you. Thank you so much for that, Maurice. Over to Tears. So, I mean, Charlene, can you share some statistics around GBV in Africa, in South Africa itself? In general, and if you can give it from a Tears Foundation perspective, specifically from that, I think it'll be good to hear what are the stats, and how do they seem to look like these days?
All right, so Shishni, the statistics that we are currently working with is 1 in 4 women that's being abused. All right, we look at things like that says every 25 seconds a woman in South Africa is being sexually assaulted. Every 4 hours a woman in South Africa is murdered, and at least half of these women die at the hands of their intimate partner. We also know that rape and abuse is the most underreported crime in our country. So the statistics that we are working with and says that 1 in 25 cases are reported, which is horrifying at best. So now you can take whatever the police is saying, how many of their cases, and you multiply it, by 25, and then you have a more realistic understanding of what's busy happening in our country. And that's not just here, it's globally as well. And I think the saddest part of the whole gender-based violence, rape and abuse is the fact that everyone is considering us the rape capital of the world.
I don't think that's true though, hey.
We are in the top 5.
Top 5, yes. Do you, and I'm just putting you on the spot, right? I'm not too sure. Do you know where the stats is in the world? Who's sitting on number 1?
I think Mara would know. Charlene, I think you did. It was India, and it was a Latin American country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, India has more. The thing is, it's the patriarchal societies that have it far worse. So if you have a patriarchal culture, it allows abuse more readily, because women become an asset rather than a partner. And it's made worse in our country because we get lots of cases that where the perpetrator of the abuse, so all abusers are not men, I just always like to say that, but majority are men, where they've paid lobola, and it's his property, he can do whatever he likes. But so we have a lot of that in every religion, and you find that people incorrectly, I'm a Christian, and I'm saying that as I speak and say, people incorrectly read the Bible and use that to justify abuse because they only read one little part, wives submit to your husbands, and or wife is the head of the house. And there are lots of conditions to all of those things. And so they're incorrectly enforced. So that one of the things we also deal a lot with is, can there be rape in marriage? Well, yes.
Yep.
There can be, and so people unfortunately use those particular that I've mentioned chapters or lines, maybe, is a better way, because taken alone that they don't have the full meaning to justify that the wife can't say no to sex. So it's very, very difficult because we believe that you have the right over your body and the right to say no. And legally, the definition is you can both be naked, you consented up until then and you changed your mind. And so a lot of people find that very hard to handle, especially with inside an intimate partner relationship. So we must remember, this is your body. So that's what I start with. When you take back your self-worth and you take back who you are, you have to really start by loving your body and yourself, because if you don't start there, it doesn't really matter what somebody does to you. And so it's very important to let a person be proud of themselves. So often in the office space, I say to people, you can see if you have a staff member who's been abused, not just by a black eye or whatever, but her behavior pattern changes, but also she doesn't always look as freshly dressed as she used to be, and her hair isn't always clean if she always had clean hair. So there are a lot of giveaway things that happen when you're in an abusive relationship that we are unobservant of, that you can pick up the signs. So then that person will end up losing their job, because the employer has not recognized she's in an abusive relationship. So those little nuances in life are exceptionally important.
Yeah. You know, Maria's coming back to corporate. I'm in corporate myself, right? And I head up multiple teams as well. So, I mean, speaking about that, Maria, I've identified a few as well in my space as well. And there's certain things that, you know, we can do, you know, to help people. Listen, I come from a very traditional Indian background. I come from a generation of believing in society and the way that we are brought up and all of those things. But I choose otherwise. I choose to own myself. I choose to make the decisions that's better for me and not for what society dictates it to be. You know, and that is why how we see women of today versus how we had women back then, society has changed that so much. We actually have forgotten that we are evolving to a new evolution of how things are done. Leave alone the world out there, climate change, environmental change, and all of those things. We ourselves as human beings have changed. We've emerged. We have control about, you know, who we are. Women are not what it used to be 10, even 5 years ago. It's not the same. The thing for me is that society has changed women to empower themselves, inspire themselves to get above that. The source of it is that, and I'm saying this with no disrespect to males, but society has not taught men how to deal with the women of today. And for me, that is the challenge, right? Because I have climbed the corporate ladder, hit the high, did whatever I need to do, and the role changed. It's not the same anymore, okay? Which you rarely see that. And society has not spoken to men in the sense that, okay, how do I deal with this magnificent, amazing, beautiful, strong, courageous woman that's standing in front of me? It's not the same anymore. Our role has changed. It's not the
Yeah.
same anymore. So as much as we as women has moved forward, society has not moved the rest of the population behind us. And that's the gap. It's a very big gap we face.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right, Chesney, you know, and I think many men hasn't learned to adapt to that, you know, and they don't have the same level of respect for women in general in society, you know. To me, and I'm quite honest when I say this, I actually consider myself very fortunate to be regarded as an equal to the woman in society. You know, I personally, I believe women are superior beings, and I mean, if you look at everything that they have achieved, and I mean, you've just mentioned now how difficult it was for you to put on the different hats and climb the corporate ladder, and still fulfill the role of a mother and a wife and everything that goes along with it. I mean, you would be stupid not to have respect for somebody like you and every other woman out there. And I mean, look at how courageous Mara is, for example. I know of very few men that would be willing to stand up and say, you know, what has happened to them, like Mara did, for example. So, yeah, I think you're right, you know, and the sooner men realize that we have a role to play, but so has women, has a very, very important role to play. And like I say, you know, I think men in general can consider themselves lucky to be regarded as equals to women in society.
Absolutely, right? I mean, the underlying thing, we also have to be very conscious about the youth of today. We all have children. How do you bring up, I have a girl and I have a boy, okay? You also need to make sure as when they move into the real world, that they respect the fundamentals of being brought up, right? They should be treating everyone as equal and not have this gap and this mentality that pulls them apart. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that's going to go out and they're going to be here for the next 10, 20, 30 years on. And you wouldn't want something like this to continue on this hamster wheel and continue going, and the cycle doesn't change. You break the cycle, guys. You have to break the cycle.
Correct.
And for me, it's important to break the cycle. And that is why we need TEARS Foundation and we need AVBOB to stand up and to give society that little bit of a wake-up call and says, guys, get off your asses and get moving with this. Stop doing what you're doing, because it's for me, it's that, guys, I'm very passionate about this, right? So my apologies if I've offended anyone. For me, it's that get on with it, right? We are all humans. We are all equal.
Absolutely.
You know, and I just don't, and to your point, Maurice, I don't understand why we see one leg, why we have some men that sees women on this side and we have other men that sees, you know, women as, I don't know, irrelevant for whatever reason that may be. And to Mara's point, it's their property. You don't own anyone. You don't have the right to own anyone's body for that matter as well. But that's just my view.
Well, I agree with your view completely, Chesney.
Yes, Mara, you were going to say?
I was going to say that I started working in 1969. And so I've been working for a long time. And I got a job in 1970 with one of the large national security companies. And I got a job, I got a company car, and I was going to be a follow-up person, a sort of number 2 to a sales rep. And then you went through the process. You became the assistant to the sales rep and then the sales rep and whatever. And so part of the job was, so I'm just sketching the time, it's a long time ago, and that you had to call at big companies and speak to the security manager about, you'd sell them guards and all that sort of stuff. So I cold called in industrial areas, and was only years later that I realized that it wasn't a woman's job I was doing. You see, I wanted the job. I wanted the company car. I wanted the money because I bought my first house when I was 24. And so to do that, I worked on the weekends, I drive around the industrial areas, I take names down. So I think part of the success isn't just men changing, is women realizing that you have to be as good. I'm not talking about equality, I'm talking as good as any other man or person. Because if you want to be treated in a way, you obviously were as good as anybody else in your company. So I think two parties have a responsibility. It's for the men to change, but the women also. So, for example, one of the discussions Charlene and I have had is that she was previously an employee at TEARS and took a sabbatical and wanted to come back. So I had to have a little talk to her about, well, you are a wife, but you're going to be working late, so you got to start to make new plans. And it's about older women like me passing on our knowledge. I did give her a plan. Does it work, Charlene? But you know, but you do have to take that role, because so in the same way as we want men to change, women have to change to empower other women. I think that life's about a balance, and you have to encourage other women to step up, and you have to also tell them your steps to enabling. So her steps to enabling her to have the position was she had to get an au pair for her child, who's a special needs boy, and he needed to be fetched. And her husband, the role, whether I agree with it or not, comes with that mostly the women do the food. And rather than bucket, find another way of enabling that need. And so I think it's not just the men that have got to make allowances for women, it's other women have got to make allowances for women to get forward. So you can see why I was a founder member of the Business Women's Association, because that's what I believe. I believe you have to help other people at the same time. So men must help women and women must help women.
I agree 100% with you, right? I've been in corporate for 20 years right now, and majority of my team is also women as well. And you have to be able to lift them up in order to understand what their full potential is, and for them to give the opportunities for them to reach out and to go and, you know, give what you know, if you feel that you can do this job, then you're going to show me, you know, you're going to do this job. So absolutely stunning. I absolutely agree with you there, Maura. Absolutely 100%.
What you say, Charlene?
Charlene?
Sorry, I mentioned her in the talk. So, Charlene?
I agree 100%. The thing is that we need to be able to assist other women. You know, one of my biggest things was I always saw everything in a box. And the easiest way to see stuff that's not inside of the box is to get outside of the box. And because as a woman, I wasn't outside of my own box, I couldn't see outside of my boundaries, if I can put it that way. And Maura really helped me to grow as an individual and to see beyond my own potential. So thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So coming back to you, Marius, tell me, why did AVBOB select or sponsor, you know, the TEARS Foundation on this initiative? What is the reason behind this? So obviously you definitely believe in GBV, so.
Yeah, well, I think, Shisni, you know, after we made the decision to take a firm stance against gender-based violence, we did some research and we started looking around at organizations, you know, that we should be supporting, and organizations who's got similar sort of objectives to what we had. And yeah, we came across the TEARS Foundation, and I mean, they've got a fantastic track record. So, you know, after investigating it and considering it, we then decided that their objectives are very close and closely aligned to ours. And like I say, they have a very good track record. And we felt that, you know, the investment we were about to make would yield positive results. Nobody just wants to throw money down the drain. It is a substantial investment, we believe. And we just felt that, you know, we had a much better chance of having success with TEARS Foundation that we would have had with a number of other organizations that we looked at.
Okay, fantastic. So TEARS, you know, AVBOB will, is sponsoring you guys now for help at your fingertips, right? What does it mean for TEARS to have like a big corporate sponsor, behind you guys, and that has come on board and partnered up? What does that, what does that mean for you guys? What does that mean for TEARS? Charlene.
Mara, always putting me on the hot seat here. Shishni, the problem that we as an organization always encounter is the lack of funding. Is causing us not to be able to be as effective and efficient as what we would be if we had the funding. And with AVBOB's help, this is really going to help us to be more effective in the gender-based violence arena as well, especially with the help at your fingertips, taking it to the next level, making sure that not only do they get the information they need, we can then be in further contact with them, and making sure that, yes, they did get the 3 numbers, but what now? Is there anything else we can help you with? Is to really engage in conversations with the people to say, we are here for you. We want to help you. How can we help you? And that's really part of bringing hope and healing. And yeah, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And thank you very much for AVBOB for coming on board. We value you guys a lot, and can't get enough of those.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, having a corporate, I myself know, being a foundation myself, it is hard. It's very difficult to find sponsors, and especially corporates, to stand together with different types of NGOs and nonprofits to stand together to help each other as well. So I think, AVBOB, you're doing a fantastic job, supporting TEARS in their vision in helping society right now. And me personally, I would just like to also say, thank you for that. Me being a woman, leave alone from coming from a foundation perspective, but I think having corporates, standing together and knowing that we have someone like AVBOB standing behind this phenomenal cause and this launch of this type of program speaks volumes of words. Words sometimes does not describe it. So thank you so much from my side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that we feel often, because I've cried a lot of tears literally over this, because in order to get TEARS going, I had to hock my house. I had to borrow from my brother-in-law, and my boyfriend eventually, he said, well, no more money. Maybe it's time, Mara. You took a little bit of time and thought about what your path forward is. And I put my hands on the hip and said, I'm not giving it up. But it doesn't mean we were not at that door. And so one of the things about having a big corporate come on board is you don't feel so alone anymore.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're part of, they've got our logo about being part of the family. Well, now we've got family who's there for us when it gets a bit cold out there. And that's the amazing difference that they've made to us. That we've got a person there who really has a vested interest in what we're doing, and who shares the burden with us, because we get pretty lonely.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Corporates, there's a lot of beautiful NGOs out there that's doing some fantastic work, like really, really fantastic work. And I do believe that the corporates needs to now step forward. They need to step forward, and they need to stand together. And I'm really hoping, AVBOB making that choice and stepping forward with some of the NGOs. I do know that you have a lot of CSI sponsorships and programs, and Marius, you're welcome to speak about it, but I'm hoping that bigger corporates come into the NGO space, partner up with NGOs, help them, support them, stand by them, walk with them in achieving their visions. Let me tell you something, Mara, I mean, both of us being a founder of NGOs, it is very difficult to find people that want to help each other. Leave alone corporates. Leave alone corporates. But to go on this journey alone is not easy. It's very, very difficult. We have Mara that is because she's a victim of GBV, She's created this foundation because she knows what it was like to be alone and to fend for herself and do these things. And obviously, she doesn't want other people to feel that pain and stuff. But when you have an organization that has the funds, the means, the willing, the ways to assist, I mean, you need, you know, corporations to come on board and to help people like Mara to achieve what they can. That difference that we make in society and how we change things going forward is a crucial entity in as to how we have the new culture that we can face in South Africa.
Yes, absolutely.
And if we don't change it, we don't start talking to people, and if we don't, you know, network and connect and collaborate, we're never ever going to achieve what we are doing. So, and hence why I'm saying a lot of corporates, I know I've been in multiple corporates amongst multiple different industries as well. They all have CSI budgets. They all have CSI projects and sponsorships. You know, for me, it's about help the NGOs do what they need to do, because their visions and the differences that they can make is going to be, that is what's going to change the culture in South Africa. Nothing else.
I absolutely agree with you. But the interesting thing is that in South Africa, that AVBOB has come on board, there are only 5 corporates who loudly support gender-based violence. Now with AVBOB, there's 6. I can name them for you because people are not prepared to acknowledge that this is a societal problem, that as the president has said, it's a scourge and we have to tackle it. They want to do something that makes lovely photographs, you know, and there are other pictures there. You're nodding, Marius. I know they want a nice picture, a happy kid skipping along with a sandwich. And unfortunately, that's not the real meaning of corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility is doing what AVBOB is. I'm putting your money right there with the cutting edges, and I'm literally using that word, and being prepared to help that person stand up. And that is what's so sad in our country, because we have just been turned down numerous times, as you correctly said, because it doesn't suit their funding objective, because a lot of the CSR funding objectives are not related to the ills in our country or the needs in our country. They're related to the CEO's pet hobby horse because his child rides horses. I'm making a stupid example, but I'm just using that. And then they take up a whole program for helping people learn to ride. And I'm not saying there isn't a place for that, but I'm saying that hasn't identified the social ills in our country and met them. And that's what's so valuable for us here, because it's a step in the right direction.
No, absolutely. And AVBOB definitely has come to the party with that, right? To support the society change that is needed, and it's really to embrace that change that's coming our way. And I do believe that's change that's coming our way, absolutely, for sure. And that's why people like, you know, Maria, Charlene, and AVBOB South Africa as well is standing together and making sure that you've been heard. You know, when I heard about this, and I want to say thank you to Simbongile that's on the call right now as well. You know, I had the youths on, I had teachers of South Africa on. Having you guys on right now, I'm just providing space for you guys to air your view. You know, it's a safe place, and we need people to stand up and speak out more, because the more you speak up, the more you're echoing the same message. And we need people to come together and to do that, because the more quiet and silent we say, nothing's going to change. It's just going to remain the way that it is. There's going to be no change. So I want to say thank you so much for joining, Open Mic Foundation. I do believe we have a lot of collaborations going forward together. I'm absolutely ecstatic. And I want to say thank you. Thank you, Charlene and Mara, for doing what you're doing, believing in what you're doing, and in trusting that people like AVBOB South Africa that has, given you something to start off something really, really incredible going forward. Because I think what you are doing is phenomenal. It shows a lot of courage that you as a woman that is helping another human being there that is in a place where they need help and they need someone to carry them with them. So I want to say from my side, thank you to the both of you. And Marius, to AVBOB South Africa, it's absolutely fantastic. I can truly tell you today, I sit here today and tell you guys, I'm proudly South African. Proudly South African to know that, you know what, AVBOB has come to the party and has taken the step and the courage and partnered up with Mara and been there for her to take her through the journey that you guys have done. So I want to say to AVBOB South Africa, thank you so much for doing and making that social impact in society, because it's definitely needed.
Thank you very much, Shazmi. And yes, you know, we're part of South Africa. Like you said, you proudly South African, we proudly South African. And I just want to mention, I mean, before we started, you mentioned the AVBOB Poetry Project, which has been a huge success. It's been one of our flagship corporate social investment projects. And we have a community of around 18,000 poets currently.
Wow.
And, you know, if we can mobilize a community of 18,000 potential anti-GBV activists, you know, who knows what can happen.
Unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so we intend to muster the collective power of that community as well, and we are extremely serious and sincere about our efforts against gender-based violence. So thank you to you as well, Shazmi and Mara and Charlene. We're looking forward to what is, you know,
wonderful
what's going to
journey
happen in the future.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Yes,
I just
Mara,
want to tell
last
you
words
that,
from you.
Marius did, we were asked by the city of Johannesburg to train their call center because they were getting a lot of calls on their call center for GBV. So they said, we'd like you to come in, but we can't pay you. We said, no problem, our heart is for training people. And then Marius sent his team to film them so that we've got GBV training to distribute to police stations. How amazing is that? So their partnership isn't just what you've heard, it's a working partnership. And I'm excited to say that in this, because I felt we couldn't let this moment go by without saying we made a meaningful difference last week, and we'll carry on doing that through the video recordings.
Wow, that's fantastic, guys. Absolutely fantastic. I just want to say, Charlene, any last words from your side?
Besides being incredibly excited about the journey forward, nothing can top this right now.
Well, guys, thank you so much. It's been an awesome Women's Day, you know, with everyone, all of you guys on here having this fantastic conversation. I'm going to welcome you anytime, Marius, you have this platform from AVBOB. I welcome you to share anything that's happening with AVBOB. You're welcome to contact me to share to the community if you want to. Just take note that this is a global platform. It's not just South Africans that's sitting on this platform, but you are more than welcome at any point in time. And Mara, you and I are going to create something magical, absolutely magical.
See you next week.
Yes,
same place, same time.
Same place, same time, guys. Mara is going to be joining us next week to share her personal story on GBV. And Mara, thank you so much. It is not an easy subject to talk about. And I think hearing a victim of GBV is something that needs to happen. And for people to understand the trauma and all the things that goes with that. So guys, join Mara next week at 2 o'clock. She will be coming back onto open mic to share her personal story with us. And I want to say to the three of you, thank you so much. And it was a fantastic chat, and I welcome you guys anytime.
Thank you, Shazmi. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye.
Thank you so much. To our viewers, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for all the comments. Please, Tears Foundation has, Charlene, do you want to share Tears Foundation, your contact details, how to get a hold of you, some of the information where they can source you out?
Absolutely. So our landline number is 010-590-5920. You can email us on info@tears.co.za. You can visit our website at www.tears.co.za, or you can use our USSD number, *134*7355#.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a fantastic day, and I wish you all the best. Take care.
Thank you, Sheshni.
Pleasure, guys.